Hey, new blessings, new lessons, new money, man. Welcome back to Vine Talk. Well, we here with humor, drag with love, and sip tea with our spirit guides. Look, today's episode is for the folks caught between crystals and confusion. The healers who keep ghosting, gaslighting, and blaming Mercury retrograde for being emotionally unavailable. Look, grab your journal and your common sense, because some of y'all out here calling it alignment when it's really just avoidance in a hoodie. Let's go! Hey, my goal with this episode is to open new doors of thoughts and truths that lead to transformation. I appreciate you for being here, and before we begin, I have to ask you a few questions. Has someone ever dodged accountability by saying, everything happens for a reason? You ever dated somebody that knew every zodiac sign, but none of their own red flags? Do you keep calling it a connection when it's really just chaos and cute packaging? Do they pull the tarot but can't pull up? Hey, have you been in a spiritual connection that only connected in the sheets? Listen, if your inner child just nodded, rolled their eyes, or clutched your rose quartz, baby, hit play, because this episode is for you. Oh, my mama. Look, so pretty much a lot of folks are wondering what spiritual bypassing is. Spiritual bypassing is when someone uses spiritual beliefs, practices, or language to avoid facing those uncomfortable emotions, truths, or responsibility. Especially in relationships and healing work, man. Pretty much it gives love and light while actively ignoring your own shadows. While actively ignoring your own shadows. Some examples, everything happens for a reason. Instead of taking your accountability, using astrology and Mercury retrograde to justify those inconsistent and toxic behaviors. Avoiding hard conversations because it'll mess up the vibe, calling toxic patterns and shit a twin flame journey, like meditating daily but refusing to go to therapy or own up to the harm that was caused. It's a problem because spiritual bypassing looks peaceful on the outside, but it keeps people stuck in denial. It creates this illusion of growth while dodging the actual work that healing requires, like honesty, accountability, grief, boundaries. You can't smudge away your responsibilities. Sage does not hit like shadow work. You hear me? Sage don't hit like shadow work. And with that being said, spiritual language ain't a hall pass for bad behavior. Spiritual language ain't a hall pass for bad behavior. You can't cheat on people. You can't ghost people. Then post your little full moon ritual talking about cutting cords and protecting your peace. Ma'am, that was manipulation, not magic. Situationships, it already got folks emotionally homeless, and now we finna add some Palo Santo in playlists. Let's stop using spiritual work to spiritualize dysfunction. Let's be clear. There is a difference between healing and hiding. Too many people are out here using spirituality to dodge that deep emotional work. They know all about Mercury retrograde. They know about the full moon that's happening today. But they don't know how to say, I'm sorry. They can pull a birth chart, but can't pull their weight in a relationship. They sage their room, but never check their own energy. Man, that shit's tiring. And I get it. Like, healing is messy. It's easier to quote quotes than to admit that you're emotionally unavailable. But man, we gotta stop putting feathers and incense on dysfunction and calling it alignment. Some of these situationships are not deep spiritual bonds. They're just people trauma bonding with a playlist, some crystals, and a fear of accountability. Do you know how many people use spiritual bypassing to keep toxic cycles going? To ignite their ego to false practices. I mean, even growing up, we probably don't remember it, but you know, our parents and stuff used a few scriptures to place some kind of fear in our hearts, you know, to make us obey. They ain't used the whole scripture. They just used like bits and pieces of it. Whatever gonna fit their narratives. You know what I'm saying? Like, I personally hate now how people's blaming the universe for everything. Oh, the universe is pulling me this way. The universe is pulling me that way. Why can't we be honest and say that you're pulling yourself towards other people? You're pulling yourself towards other situations. You're pulling yourself towards other things. When are we going to start being honest with ourselves? Look, I am a spiritual life coach. I don't really do one-on-ones, but let's go ahead and break down the difference between spiritual growth and spiritual ghosting, because real elevation don't come with excuses. I'm just being honest. It don't. All right, so look. What is spiritual bypassing in relationships, and how can you spot it early? All right. Spiritual bypassing in relationships is when someone uses spiritual ideas like everything is divine timing, or I'm just focused on my inner journey to avoid the real conversations, the accountability, or the emotional work. You'll spot it early when they start dodging those direct questions with vague language, or they gonna use their healing journey as a reason to stay unavailable. They claim to be on a healing journey, but leave damage in every connection, baby. If they always sound deep, but never get deep, clock it. Hey, what is it? Clock it. Look, if they alignment only shows up in captions and not in communication, you're being bypassed, not love. If they can quote quotes but can't own up to their own boundaries that they crossed, that's bypassing. It ain't bonding. So how do people confuse spiritual language with emotional maturity? Hey, this happens every day because it sounds deep. I just feel like we're not aligned energetically right now. That sounds way better than I don't want to commit to you. Spiritual language don't always equal emotional literacy though. Emotional maturity is shown in how they handle discomfort, not how they dress it up. You can be enlightened all you want on IG and emotionally unavailable in real life. Like, come on, bro. So what are the signs that someone's using spirituality to avoid accountability? Look, they're going to blame the universe for every pattern, but they're going to never reflect on their own role. They're going to call you triggered every time you express a need or a boundary. They spiritualize poor communication. My throat chakra is blocked. Like, what? They gonna throw around the energy shifts instead of sincere apologies. Damn, the energy different. Oh, my energy was off today. Like, if they always got a download, but never a plan, you're not in a relationship, you in a sermon. My next question, look, what should people know before entering a conscious relationship? Listen. Conscious relationships, they aren't about being perfect. They're about being present and accountable. Too easy, right? You gotta expect triggers, expect growth, expect your ego to get checked. You need to have open and honest communication, space for personal healing and mutual responsibility. Emotional regulation, not just rituals and retreats. Love without accountability is just a vibe. And that's a vibe. A conscious relationship requires consistent self-checks, not just moon circles. And my last question, man. How can we set boundaries without becoming the very red flag that we're trying to avoid? That's too easy too. It's pretty much all about how you do it, okay? Boundaries, they aren't walls. They are doors with locks. You set them with clarity, not cruelty, okay? Respect your own needs without trying to punish others. And you need to be open to feedback. Like, because sometimes your boundaries, they're just unhealed wounds in disguise. Set boundaries from love, not fear. Speak from your truth, not your trauma. I got some tips for y'all. Sage ain't soap and it won't clean up your toxicity. All right, look. If they meditate but manipulate, leave the mat, not your mind. If they talk about energy, believe you drink, block the frequency. If they call everything a lesson but never study, drop out that class. If every heartbreak turns into a spiritual TikTok, baby, you are content, not a connection. If your self-worth keeps shrinking in the name of alignment, realign yourself with reality. If they quote spiritual posts but never take accountability, you dating Instagram, not a person. Don't ignore red flags just because they came with the Palo Santo. Listen, for real healing requires honesty. Stop trying to vibe your way through dysfunction. Stop letting pretty words and spiritual memes keep you in confusion. Love without clarity is a trap wrapped in incense. Hey, if this episode checked you, blessed you, or made you realign with reality, hey, share and tag us at Bane Talk Pod. Put your healing in the algorithm. Bonus points if crystals were used. Hey, this ain't therapy, but it could have been. Stay rooted, stay loud, and don't let nobody plan your peace. Catch you next time on Bane Talk. Let's go.